Pastor Ed here with Daily Devotions for Wednesday, September the 13th, 2023. A well-known coach was once asked, how much does college football contribute to the national physical fitness picture? Nothing, the coach replied abruptly. Why not? The startled interviewer asked. Well, said the coach, the way I see it, you have 22 players down on the field desperately needing a rest, and 60,000 people up in the stands desperately needing some exercise. Now, a similar reality often exists in many churches today. Someone once noted that. When you compare members who actively participate, you often find a rather pathetic situation. It's not unusual, for instance, to find a small group of diligent Christian leaders struggling down on the field, while others in the congregation are acting like spectators, sitting on the sidelines, quote, eating hot dogs and popcorn. God's strategy for the accomplishment of his mission, however, is not like a sporting event. It does not call for the job to be done only by the professionals. In carrying out the church's mission, all believers have their own positions and spiritual gifts that they must exercise for the common good. Secondly, all spiritual gifts are supernatural, which simply means that they only come from God. But some of them are more sensational. For instance, as we shall see in just a minute, the list includes some unexciting, rather ordinary gifts like administration and hospitality, but it also includes some more spectacular ones like miracles and speaking in tongues. Thirdly, life gifts, which we looked at previously, have many applications. We can use them, therefore, in many areas of our lives. Spiritual gifts, however, differ from them in this one key respect. They are given to carry out God's purposes, which leads to the question, can something be both a life gift and a spiritual gift? And the answer is yes, but that doesn't mean that everyone experiences them in both ways. Let me explain. In a former congregation, we had a woman who at the time was a public school teacher, and so she obviously had the life gift of teaching. And what I was hoping for was that she also had the spiritual gift of teaching as well, because shortly after she and her family joined our congregation, our Sunday school superintendent resigned after serving faithfully in that position for a number of years. And so the very next Sunday, on her way out of service, I asked this woman if she would consider taking on this responsibility. And if not, would she simply like to teach one of the classes instead? I mistakenly assumed that because she was a teacher, and a talented one at that she would jump at the chance to run or at least be involved in our Sunday school program. I was completely taken off guard then when she immediately but sweetly replied that because teaching was her vocation, her career, and she's taught all week long, she would actually prefer finding another way of serving in the church. Lo and behold, a year or so later, when we needed someone to oversee our hospitality program in which homeless women and families would stay overnight at our church for a week at a time every 2 months, a job that required good organizational skills, she was more than happy to volunteer. You see, one of her life gifts may have been teaching, but one of her spiritual gifts turned out to be administration. This congregational ministry to the homeless in our area was able to run smoothly because she had a talent for breaking down the project into its individual tasks and recruiting volunteers and preparing schedules and delegating responsibilities. But here again, the lines between life gifts and spiritual gifts are sometimes blurred. You see, later she left the classroom to become a middle school principal. And so obviously her gift for organization and administration was not merely a spiritual gift, it also turned out to be another life gift as well. The key difference between the two, again, is that a spiritual gift is always used to carry out God's purposes, whereas this may not necessarily be true of a life gift. Someone may have the gift of leadership, for instance, and use it quite successfully in the community or in the business world. But if that person does not have the ability to provide leadership for the mission of the church, then it's not a spiritual gift. And the reverse is also true. There are some pastors and lay people who are wonderful leaders in the church, but who could not provide as effective leadership in the community or in the business world. And finally, the authors of Life Keys remind us that we can learn through study and practice just what spiritual gifts we possess and then how to use them more effectively. In preparing this devotion, I came across a quote from a Dr. Bruce Emmert, who has written, "God has given us all a sweet spot, In fact, Paul says that God has given us the gift of a sweet spot so that we could serve God and produce the maximum result and maximum satisfaction both for God and us. Former baseball slugger Mark McGwire once said, "When I feel the ball hit right on the bat's sweet spot, a home run is just around the corner." I believe, writes Emmert, that when we serve Jesus from a spiritual sweet spot, a spiritual home run is just around the corner. Paul calls that spiritual sweet spot a spiritual gift, a special talent or ability that God has supernaturally given to us so that we can produce the maximum result in making a world of difference for God in our community and around the globe, and thereby experience the maximum satisfaction. Well, we're going to continue tomorrow and wrap this little portion up, talking about spiritual gifts. So I hope you'll tune back in. And but that today you have a great day. And again, as always, looking forward to being with you again tomorrow. Until then, take care. Bye.